great one is James Grant. He writes Grant's Interest Rate Observer. It's an 8-page, fortnightly, costs $100 copy. I subscribe. Fully paid up subscriber. Reading from his book. It's quoting James Tish from the Tish family. First, never buy a bank at twice book. Number 2, don't trust any bank with a superior earnings record. Number 2 was never buy a bank at twice book. Didn't our favourite girl in the universe go out and buy St. George at like what? 2.3 book? She doesn't read grants. She must have some connection with St. George. Number 3, you're buying a pig and a poke because the assets are inherently unanalyzable. So buy enough comfort and coverage. Buy a deep margin of safety, or to sell too short. So yeah, the business end of the meeting is basically March 6th. The shorts come back, the short ban against the banks expires. They're going to protest against it because they can't stand any shorts. The reason they can't stand any shorts is because they don't like capitalism. And this is, prime view for a question. So basically I was thinking we get some of the guys that understand making markets. But, the stockbrokers understand making markets with true counterparties, not with market makers counterparties. We start a fund. There's some incentive for me in that, and we attack the banks, basically. And we go, we go short the banks, and we take advantage of the lightweights that work for the banks, and we take advantage of this precedented situation. That's the order of business of the night. There are other things that I do. Obviously, I go to the library and things like that. So I've got a little firm called Copernicus Nelson that tries to understand the big picture. And I'm thinking about starting another fund based on the Charles Bukowski poem, Strongest of the Strange. You don't see them often. For where the crowd is, they are not. But from these few come the few good paintings, the few good orchestras, the few good works, and other things. So that's the basis of the other fund. And of course, there are a bunch of hedge fund managers in the world who do understand what's going on. They've got a proven track record, and there's only one way to get into them. Anyway, so any more questions? Yeah.
Your view on gold, even if gold is if so, you believe for inflation was there?
Yeah. Most people think gold is, and I disagree with James Grant. Most people think gold is the only true asset. I think it's the only true pure derivative. It is wholly valued on what people impress upon it. Malleable, highly conductive, yellow, highly luster, heavy metals. I don't look at gold ever. I don't look at gold ever. I read his articles, I read James Grant's. I like his thinking. I can't believe in something that is nothing. It's just a derivative. It's a complete opposite view of just about everyone else in the world. But I don't go anywhere near it. In a deflation, you would expect
deflation. Do you believe we're heading for deflation?
We are headed for the biggest deflation since Kingdom Come. Yeah, Stephen Keen wrote to me, he sent me an article. Stephen Keen's a go-to man in the media. He's brilliant. He is truly brilliant. He wrote to me, sent me his last article. The world thinks, the world understands that we are in a fractional banking system. So if you pour enough money into the base capital of the bank, you're going to get inflation. actually he's found something quite similar to my all-time favourite Albert Weingelover, is that it's not causal. You know, you could, it goes the other route. The credit is created kind of out of thin air, and the rest follows. You know, you get the changes in the credit, the aggregate credit, before you get the changes or in the base capital. You know what I mean? So what's going to happen is money's going to be poured into the base capital to inflate. Basically, the only way to get out of this problem, it's not going to be efficient. It's not going to be efficacious because the banks are insolvent, etc. So, but otherwise, I just don't spend any time on it.
What about oil?
I'm sure. There's two camps, and I kind of have a foot in each camp. Some people say that OPEC won't never function again. I disagree, because the reasons it didn't function in the early 80s and in the late 90s was because in the early 80s it had a long stretch of functioning. And so it got weak. You know, the member states borrowed too much, they had fixed costs they had to pay back. Oil went into an inverted supply curve. The lower the oil price went, the more they had to produce to match their fixed costs. So it couldn't function. It didn't function again in the late 80s because it just didn't function. You know, the oil had been so low for so long. This time, having had a taste of success, it will function. It's not going to function in the 40s, it's not going to function in the 30s, it's going to start functioning in the 20s. So I don't think it's going to go to the teens, I think it's going to go down, and I think it's going to be one of the buying opportunity. There are people who don't agree, but that makes them up. Our good friend, T. Boone, you might have been thinking about T. Boone Pickens. T. Boone lost, but, you know, great thinker. He's down, well, I don't know about recently, but for the last 3 months of last year, his fund was down 97%. He was long and wrong, but he is brutally bad, so it's not. He's brilliant.